Hi, I'm Julie Gizzi, an executive director with the Pampered Chef, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a loaded baked potato chowder. Now this recipe is going to be dairy-free, so for those of you who have dairy sensitivities, you're going to love the options that I'm going to give you today. So to get us started, I've got our deep covered baker here. This is oftentimes referred to as the magic pot. It's a wonderful piece of stoneware that you can use in the oven and in the microwave to make all sorts of things. Ranging from side dishes to main dishes. You can make fajitas in 14 minutes in the microwave, a pork tenderloin in 9 minutes. Today we're doing the loaded baked potato chowder. So to give us a head start, I took 2.5 pounds of russet potatoes, cut them lengthwise into quarters with a half a cup of oat milk, and went ahead and microwaved it until they were tender. It took about somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes. So halfway through cook time, go ahead and rotate. And then when it comes out, we're going to take the mix and chop and just chop up the potatoes until they're nice and mashed. They don't need to be smooth, but you do want to get them nice and mashed. Now the tip I'll give you, when you're making this recipe, it's really important that you have plenty of potatoes. If you eyeball it, you're likely not to put in enough, and then your chowder is going to be thin. And this is a comfort food type of recipe, and it's really nice when it's thick like a chowder versus a soup. So go ahead and chop that up. This mix and chop, by the way, is my best-selling small tool. It's a great product for making guacamole and mashing vegetables and fruits. Okay, so I'm just going to clear that off a little bit, and it's steaming hot, so it doesn't take very long for the soup to finish off. So what I've got here is 4 ounces of a dairy-free cream cheese, and I'll show you about the ingredients here in a little bit, but I microwaved it for about 15 seconds so that it would be smooth, and to that we're going to add the rest of our oat milk. So there's 3 cups of milk here, and if you've not used oat milk before, it's one of the creamier non-dairy milks, and so it works really well for something like this. It's a little bit darker in color, but it'll be nice and creamy. And you just add a little bit at a time, otherwise it's hard to get it to be nice and smooth. These easy measuring cups allow you to measure without doing squats. You can go to the gym to do that, but to measure you just pour straight in, so you don't have to do any of this. So we need 3 cups of that, and that's all nice and in there. Okay, great. We're going to add some fresh garlic. If you're not familiar with fresh garlic, this is a head. And this piece here is called a clove. So we're just going to put 1 clove of fresh garlic into our soup. I'm going to use our garlic press. Don't peel your garlic, just stick it in there. Give it a good firm squish, and you've got all that nice minced garlic. To take your peel out, you're going to take this little cleaning tool and you can pop out your peel, and you'll see there's no garlic left. It's just the peel that's in there. So we're going to get rid of that. Okay. So we've got the garlic in there, and we're going to add in our milk. These batter bowls come in 2 sizes, so this is the bigger of the 2. And I'm just going to kind of give it a bit of a stir. This is going to go back into the microwave for just 5 minutes till heated through, and then we'll get the rest of our ingredients ready. So I'm going to pop that on there. Perfect. So while that's finishing up, we're going to finish off our recipe. So I've got some green onions here, and what's fun about this recipe, it's called loaded baked potato chowder. So whatever it is that you would put on top of a loaded baked potato, you can add to this soup. So we've got some green onions. They're sometimes called scallions, so if you're in the store and you don't see something called scallions, they're also called green onions. To be efficient, I like to just cut straight through the middle, line them up, and then you're able to cut your green onions twice as fast because you've shortened it. I'm using one of my favorite knives tonight. This is a 5-inch Santoku knife. Do you see these hollowed out recesses on both sides of the blade? Those are granites, and they provide a bit of an air pocket when you are chopping so that foods don't stick as much. And the board that I'm using today is called our medium cutting board. And that piece is dried out a little bit. it's got silicone strips on both sides so they don't slip on your countertop. Okay, perfect. So that is ready. As soon as our soup is done, we're just gonna mix these in along with some cheese. So I told you I was gonna tell you a little bit about the ingredients that we use today, in case you're not familiar with non-dairy ingredients. This is the milk that we used. Oftentimes you can find this on the shelf. I've never seen oat milk actually refrigerated, so it's usually in the natural food section of your grocery store on the shelf next to soy milk and almond milk, and you certainly can use any kind of milk that you like. We're going to use Earth Balance butter tonight. This is a non-dairy, soy-free butter. Our cream cheese is made by Tofutti, and it works real well as a cream cheese substitute. And finally, instead of sharp cheddar cheese, we're going to use the Daiya dairy-free cheese. Now, cheese is something that I found is a little bit tricky as far as going dairy-free, as far as flavor goes. So you don't need very much of it. So we're going to use that tonight. Hang on just a second. Our last ingredient we're going to throw in there is some nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast doesn't have anything to do with the kind of yeast that you use for baking. It's something a lot of people who eat a plant-based diet will sprinkle on top of recipes for the B12 that's in there, and it adds a bit of a cheesy, nutty flavor, so it's delicious. I sprinkle it on tops of soups and stews, sometimes even on tops of salads. So we're going to add a little bit of this to our soup tonight. Okay, so what I did is I measured out our cheese. We need 4 ounces. And if you're like me, you might be buying some things in bulk at the grocery store. Now check out this feature of our kitchen scale. You turn it on and it registers to 0. If you're using a bowl to do your measuring, you simply set your empty bowl on top, hit the tare function. It goes down to 0, so then you can add your ingredients without being concerned about the weight of your bowl. I use this a lot when I'm measuring pastas, dried beans or legumes, and anytime something calls for a certain amount. Proper portions of foods are so important, particularly with a recipe like this. You have to have 2.5 pounds of the potatoes, as I mentioned, or else it affects your consistency. So having a good kitchen scale is a great option. We're going to use some salt and pepper from our salt and pepper mill tonight. You'll notice that we've got 3 different colors of peppercorns. There's green, pink, black, and white. So actually that's 4 colors of our peppercorn medley. And then our salt is a coarse sea and Himalayan salt. It's more coarse than what you would find in a kosher salt that you find in the box in the grocery store. So it's nice and coarse and it fits through our salt and pepper mill very nicely. Okay, we've got about a minute left on our deep covered baker. I'm going to show you the companion for that baker. Maybe you're thinking, you know, there's only 1 or 2 of us at home and we don't need a big baker like that. This is the small round baker, and you use this exactly the same way that you would your deep covered baker, except that it's half the size. So any recipe you see for the deep covered baker, you can simply cut it in half and put it in here and it'll be perfect for you. So probably my most favorite thing to make with this is bread. So you can watch, there's another video about how to make artisan bread in your deep covered baker. Okay, this is done. I'll go ahead and pull it out. Here's a quick tip for you. When you're pulling your deep covered baker out of the microwave, I really prefer to use a towel over oven mitts simply because I find the leverage is different and oftentimes you're reaching up. So just put that towel over the top and then you can bring it right in front of you. I find in the oven, though, oven mitts are definitely preferred. Okay, so there's some good steam going on there. So what we'll do now is go ahead and add our butter, and that will get all nice and melted. And this is an interesting soup. You know, it doesn't look like much when it first comes out, but as it sits, it starts to thicken. And so we're going to add our cheese. We'll throw in our green onions. If you like to do some steamed broccoli, you can do that. And when you are scraping off your cutting boards, by the way, flip your knives upside down and you won't affect the sharpness of your blade. And then I'm just going to add a sprinkle of nutritional yeast, about a tablespoon or so. Okay, we'll add some pepper. If your family likes hot sauce, you can certainly add some of that, and a bit of salt. So by using dairy-free ingredients, we just took off a ton of calories. I don't believe there's even any cholesterol in here at all, and that's really hard to do when you're having creamy soups like this. So giving up the dairy is going to really knock out a lot of the fat out of your recipes and make them a whole lot healthier. Okay, so you can kind of see the color in your soup. As the cheese melts, it's going to really thicken. That's going to take about 5 more minutes. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to let you know at this point, you would just put your cover back on, which is hot, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Put your cover back on, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and you've got a delicious soup that's healthy and comforting, especially on these cold winter nights. Bye for now.